Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me for the podcast of The True Power from Within. I do pray each and every day that this podcast touches you in the most amazing and encouraging way. So, I have labeled this podcast the stories that we learn to tell ourselves. And um, this may be a very rough podcast for me, but I think it's something that needs to be talked about. Um, you know, as we go through life, we go through situations, we go through traumas, we go through addiction, we go through abuse, we go through homelessness, we go through grieving, we go through so many things, and we begin to build these stories around these particular events in our lives. And we create these stories in our minds um, based off of guilt or shame um, because something particular happened to us. And we create shame around it, we create guilt around it. I know in my life, I created shame around the fact that I was abused as a child, that I was abused as an adult. I created thoughts of shame around the fact that I was an addict. I created shame around, the fact that I was not the number one hero mom for a very long time. I created shame around the fact that I was unworthy. I felt like I was unlovable. I felt like as a child that I was ashamed because my life didn't look like other children's lives. I was ashamed because I didn't have a mom that was present or healthy in my life for a very long time. I created these thoughts and these stories in my mind that just ate away at me to the very depths of my soul. And, I have a lot of mental illness in my family on both sides of my family. It's not just one side, it's on both sides of my family. I've had an uncle who committed suicide. I've had a cousin who committed suicide. I have another family member right now that is dealing with the same thoughts and the same mental illness um, around suicide. And, it's heartbreaking to me that people feel as if they're better off not being here because of what's happened to them in their lives, because people don't understand the battle that goes on in the mind, or the shame that goes along with the thoughts, right? Or something that's happened to you in your life. And we create these thought processes. And then we don't understand why we feel the way we feel. We don't understand why we are going through what we're going through. We don't understand why all of these particular events had to happen to us in our lives. And we bottle all of those thoughts up. We bottle all of those feelings up. We bottle everything up. And then we begin to feel like we are better off an addict, or we're better off, um, not on this earth anymore. We feel better that, we're not wanted, or we're not loved, or we're not capable of love, or we're not enough, or we're never going to be anything in our life, or all of these things that we create in our minds um, that we ultimately end up having to deal with. And we oftentimes feel like we're alone. We feel, like we're maybe a burden to people because, we have so much going on inside of us that we just don't know how. And we shut down and we just allow it to eat away at our soul. I just really want to give this to you the way that God has given it to me this morning. Sometimes we have to relearn some things. And, I've dealt with a lot of my stuff. I'm not going to tell you that I don't struggle some days because I would be lying to you. But had to relearn something over the past few days, because sometimes when we begin to get into a healing process, right? And we begin to find our voice, and we begin to find our strength, and we begin to find the courage to speak our truth, we forget that there's others that are struggling in that same place. And I relearned something this weekend. And it was just the fact that, because, I have a family member that's struggling right now. And I wanted to encourage them and say all the things that I wish somebody would have said to me when I was in their spot. In those dark moments when I felt like, I was not valuable enough, or I was not deserving enough, or I was not good enough or worthy enough to be in a place of healing or wholeness. And so I wrote out a very long text message and, sharing all of those thoughts. But one thing that I relearned this weekend, I won't really say relearned, but that was brought to the forefront of my mind that I feel like I need to share, is that your version of your story is your version. It's your reality. It's your truth. See, we have people in our lives sometimes that want to dictate our story. They want to dictate, what we've been through. They want us to believe their version instead of our own version. And that's when we get into a place of confusion where we don't want to speak out our truth because we think we're crazy. Or we think, okay, well, maybe I'm not 100% accurate on my version of the story. Maybe I'm not 100% accurate on if that's really my feelings or not. And I want you to know that it is. And I want you to know that your story is your truth. Your story and your truth is the very thing that needs to be spoke into the world and out of your mouth to bring healing to you. Healing is not a destination. It is a constant journey of learning. It's a constant journey of dealing with issues as they come. It's a constant journey that you deal with every day of your life. Like I just said, I deal with things still every day as they come. And I've learned that, of course I can pray into those things, right? But I've also had to learn that I have to fight against the lies that Satan wants to tell me every single day, that I'm not good enough, that I don't deserve this life, that, I could never be completely whole or completely healed. And I have to fight against those very things every day, because those are the lies that Satan wants you to believe, because it's easier for us to stay stuck. It's easier for us to allow others that hurt us to remain comfortable because of what they've done. And I want you to know that you are worthy of healing. And I want to lead with Deuteronomy 14, verse 2, because it says, because you are different from other people. Okay? Because you are different from other people, you are the Lord's special people. For all the people in the world, the Lord your God chose you to be his own special people. Psalms 139 says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I want you to know that no matter what you have gone through in your life, and I don't ever want my podcast to be trigger, so I'm going to say trauma as a root word for all of the things that we may have been through in our life. Okay. The trauma that you've been through, the addiction you've been through, the trouble you've been through, the mental illness that you've been through, all of the things that you have been through, you were chosen. You were chosen by God to be his special person. You are his child. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You deserve to speak your truth. You deserve to heal. And you deserve to not allow anybody to dictate what your truth or your reality around your situation is or around your life. God is saying, I created your story in my book before I created you in your mother's womb. You're not here by mistake. You're not here because God just needed a guinea pig. God created you and you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and he chose you to be his child. Sometimes that mental illness, sometimes the lies from Satan, sometimes the people who have harmed us, those things are not going to go away. Okay? Those particular people are going to still try to be that voice in your head. Satan is going to be fighting you on every side when he knows that you're trying to get healed and whole, and you're trying to do the right thing, and you're trying to get around the right people, and you're trying to get in the right rooms, and you're trying to get into a relationship with him. I'm telling you, Satan is going to be busy because he sees your breakthrough season coming. Satan is going to be busy because he knows that you were chosen for such a time as this. Satan knows that if you begin to heal, he has no power. But aside from that, I want you to know that your healing and your story and your journey is just that, yours. You deserve to speak your truth. You deserve to have peace. You deserve to have joy. You deserve to have understanding. And you were chosen. I think we get wrapped up in so many things in our life that we forget about our mental health. Sometimes when we are dealing with people, we never know what they're going through. And you always hear these sayings of be kind because you never know what the next person is going through. And if that is not the truth, because the family member that's going through what they're going through right now, this is not just a one-time event. This has been something that's been being fought their whole life. And from the outside, I thought that this wasn't happening anymore. I thought that everything was okay. But it's not. And when I got a text message from someone telling me about the situation, it was being minimized. Do you have those people in your family that minimize everything because they don't want it to be talked about or because they're not ready to deal with their own mess? Your journey is your journey, and you deserve to heal. You deserve to step out of all of that stuff that you have been going through your whole life that you feel like is holding you down, that feel like is haunting you every day of your life. You are worthy and deserving of healing. You are worthy and deserving to know that you are loved and can be loved, and that no matter what has happened in your past, you can heal, and you're worthy of that healing. God is a God of healing. He is a God of love. He is a God of grace. He is a God of mercy. No matter what you do not have to be ashamed to go before the Father and say, I can't deal with this anymore. I need you to take over. This battle is too heavy. This situation that I'm going through, it has me ashamed, and it has me feeling guilty, and it has me feeling afraid to speak my truth, and I can't take this anymore. I need God, I need you to take over. Because we want to stay in a spot where we keep ourselves closed off because we're ashamed and we're guilty, and we feel like, if I speak my truth, someone is going to minimize me. If I speak my truth, someone is going to talk about me. If I speak my truth, that's going to require me to be vulnerable, and I could be in a place of judgment by others. And I've been in all of those spots. I've been in all of those situations. I come here 3 days a week and be very vulnerable and very transparent because I still am healing. I'm still on my journey. I am not there. I have not arrived. But God has showed me in this very situation, when I say I relearned something, and I don't really think I relearned it, I think it's just God brought it to the forefront of my mind again. Because sometimes we feel like we're not worthy to tell our story or to speak our truth. But it's our very testimony. It's our very, very story and our very truth that brings that healing to the forefront of our lives. It's the very thing that God can use to heal us in a miraculous way. And I heard somebody over the weekend say, let's have a conversation so that I can tell you the story, or the reality versus the story. And there will be people in your life that's not going to change, and they're going to want to manipulate your story. They're going to want to manipulate your version. But your version is your version. Your truth is your truth. How you see that situation is how you see that situation. And nobody else has the ability or the right to dictate what that is to you. I'm calling this Mental Health Monday. Actually, I think that it is Mental Health Monday. I just have to look it up, but I think that it is because I thought I saw something on it. But your mental health is crucial. You've got to get around people who are going to speak life and healing and miracles and faith and joy and peace and wisdom over your life. Get away from the people who want to keep you mentally ill. Get away from the people who want to keep you addicted. Get away from the people who want to keep you in that trauma or keep you in that place of self-destruction or self-sabotage. Get away from those people. Get into a room with people who are going to pour life into you. Get around people who are going to pour the word of God into you, or are going to speak healing and speak good things over your life. I don't think that we talk about mental health enough. I know that just yesterday my husband had a situation when he was downtown preaching. We don't know if this woman was under the influence. We don't know if she was having mental problems, but I can assure you that it was probably all of the above. And she was lashing out. He'd never seen her before in his life, but she was lashing out. I think we all have some sort of mental health issues because we're not perfect. None of us are perfect. None of us think perfect about ourselves. None of us think that, we're worthy of all things at all times. I still say I'm disqualified in a lot of things that I do. I still sometimes have imposter syndrome where I feel like this life is too good for me. I still have moments of self-doubt. I still have moments where, I think to myself, like, can I be this person? Can God really use somebody like me? I still have those feelings. I still have those thoughts sometimes. And when I do, I just go to the word. I just begin to pray, and I get into his presence, and I say, you know what? I know that these are the thoughts from the devil, and I know that these are the lies of Satan, and God, I'm going to rebuke these right now. And what I'm going to do this morning is I am also going to rebuke them over your life too. Because Deuteronomy 14:2 says that you are chosen. Psalm 139 says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I'm going to speak those over your life this morning because, God has brought you here for a reason. You're not here by mistake. You're not. You can heal. You are worthy. You're deserving of an amazing life. I mean, if you go to Luke 7, and it talks about the woman, who had so many sins, and she goes to the feet of Jesus, and she's washing his feet with her tears, right? And sometimes you're like, this is weird, right? Like you would read that story in the Bible, like, yeah, that's kind of weird. But it's very symbolic because it just gives you the knowledge to know that regardless of what you've done, right, we can still go to the Father. That because of our vulnerability and our transparency and us speaking our truth and us being honest and us wanting to heal and us asking for the miracles, that we can go to Jesus and he's going to forgive us because that is who he is. We don't have to live in a prison in our mind every single day of our lives. We can be free. We can stop believing the lies that Satan is feeding into our brains every day. But the whole point of this podcast today is to say that your mental health is important. Your story is valid. Your voice is to be heard. You deserve a life that is full of peace and joy and love. You just in favor and abundance. You deserve that life. Stop believing the lies. Stop believing that you're not worthy of healing. Stop believing that it's too hard. Stop believing that you have to worry about what others are going to think of you. Because your story is your story. Your voice is your voice. Your truth is your truth. And God says that you are chosen to be his own special people. I want you to believe that today. Get that down into your heart and into your mind and into your soul, and just commit to yourself today that you are going to speak your truth. That you are going to believe your version and not someone else's version. Believe that you can be whole and that you can be healthy and that you do have people that love you. And get around the people that are going to encourage you and speak life over you. Because you are worth it. And thank you so much. I know this was kind of really out of my norm, but I felt like I needed to pour into whomever it is that needs to hear this today. Because mental health is a big issue in our world, and I think it's not talked about enough. And I think it's important for you to know that you're valuable. It's important for you to know that you were chosen and that you were fearfully and wonderfully made. So, whomever ears that needs to hear this today, I hope it hits their ears. I hope it touches your heart. And I just hope that you have all the healing and peace and understanding and joy that you need in your life starting today and forevermore. So I hope you have an absolutely amazing day, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.